Thank you for sitting down with us to have this conversation today. I'd love it if you would introduce yourself to our watchers.
Excellent. My name is Johnny Fisher. From the East Coast and recently retired from the CHP. Blah blah blah. I've been going to counterstrain for about 2.5 years, and yeah, I'm just really thrilled to be here today, Theora. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I am very grateful that you're willing to share your experience. I like to start off by asking people, will you paint a picture of what you were experiencing or what was going on in your life before you encountered the Bridgeback Protocol treatment?
I can. It kind of gets into a little bit of a lengthy story, but there was a lot of physical pain, a lot of mental stuff that I was going through at the time as well, which, a lot of PTSD stuff that I was going through. And long story short, just asking my primary care physician for some assistance with a traumatic brain injury that I sustained, that kind of knocked loose all of my files that I had in my brain. And so things weren't operating correctly. And this is after months of psychotherapy to try and put all the pieces back together, and just not using any medication besides Motrin, I guess. And just kind of, trying to figure out, navigate through like what is going to be next, or what my life is going to look like going forward, was a difficult thing. My primary care physician, he recommended I go see Willie because he helps out a lot of the Fresno State athletes with concussion protocol, and I've had multiple concussions in my life. I've definitely went hard in the paint much of my whole life. So because anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So anyway, I was at a point where I would just do anything to feel better, to experience like normalcy, I guess, whatever normalcy is, or just like be pain free, or anything that's going to help me out. And I showed up to Willie broken, battered, and bruised. I looked like a patrol car that had been shot up, no wheels. The engine was shot, the transmission was gone, and I was like, dude, I need your help. Put me back together.
And so did you go in knowing what it was about, or were you sort of you're at that last ditch, like, I'll kind of try anything to get out of this?
We had been, I had been seeing my doctor I've been seeing him since like 2005, I think, but like regularly, like every 2 weeks. I wasn't doing good mentally. I was dealing with a lot of injuries to my face, to my head, to my back, to my neck. Some of it was work related, some of it wasn't. And trying to, like live my life like pain free and like not be in pain, without taking pills. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
I don't want to be numb. I don't want to live my life numb. I'd rather be in pain and accept the pain. I just needed to know like when it was going to end, or when it was going to, like, what was going to be the threshold, because there would be moments where like it was just like mind numbingly, like just stop me dead in my tracks, pain. And then there were days that I could manage, or then I would just get like these incredible, like sharp pains to my face, or to my, like all the pinched nerves and bulging discs and degenerative disc stuff that I have in my back and my neck, and just living with it for so long. Now I have like arthritis in my low back and my neck. So I guess I'm just kind of a disaster. But I've gotten to counterstrain's been able to help me get to a place of acceptance and understanding my body a little bit more, reading more about my body, about my brain, about like healing, and yoga, definitely. I just got done with like 40 minutes right before I jumped on today, just because I had to do it. I just couldn't get away from it. And just being in control of my body, being in control of my breath, being in control of like the things that I can't control. And so I think counterstrain just really helped me understand that, and really explaining to me like what a glide is. And because I'm very much like a why person, or like, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting off topic or going a little too far, but I mean, I remember the first day that I walked in there and like seeing, like you should see the inside of his office. It just looks like a mad scientist. Like I'm expecting like him to pull a book, and then a ball opens and like all this like experimental stuff like pops open. And I'm just like, just because of like all the like the different equations and different things and different glides, and like this connects with this, that connects with that. It's I don't know. It's really just unbelievable. It's I can't even put it into words. It saved my life. I mean, it totally saved my life. That, yoga, reading, my wife, and just the support from her and my doctor. I mean, I was circling the drain, man. I was not good.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds rough.
I mean, I just gave you a lot right there to mess with, but
yeah. Well, so talk a little bit about the treatment, just like in like everyday person's terms, you know, if your buddy like came to you and you thought that this might benefit him, how would you describe how would you like prepare him for the experience?
I think that the best way for me to do, especially like with first responders or even like military personnel or veterans, I would say that, you know, our fight or flight is on all the time due to all the critical incidents that we've seen in our lives. You know, our hyper vigilance is just firing off. We are in the red all the time. Going to Willie puts us in the yellow or the orange. And even at that level, it feels better. It's like, oh man, I can function as a normal human being now. Oh, okay, I don't feel like everybody's out to get me. Or, you know, it's good to be in the red if you're in a critical incident, but not everything's a critical incident. And he just does a great job of just shutting down and resetting, you know, your reset buttons all over your body. And I mean, I think I jumped off the table the first time that I went there because he just shut me down. He just shut me off. And I was like, I fell asleep, and then I jumped up and I'm like, dude, what'd you do? And he's just like, oh. And then he goes, that's pretty cool, huh? And I go, Willie, you just turned into like one of my favorite people. Like, do it again. It was almost like, hey, does this smell like chloroform? No.
In that, like he relaxed your nervous system so you could actually rest. Yeah. Oh, okay. I was like, wait, yeah.
Yeah. ADHD. That with the whole brain thing, when I got smashed in the face by a tree branch in 2017 while I was in my backyard trimming a tree, and it broke my nose in 4 places and drove my nose bone into my skull. I kind of cheated death by a human hair by a micrometer. And
wow,
had 5 surgeries on my face. I used to be good looking, but whatever. I'm just kidding. But I was split open from here all the way to my eye. I almost lost my eye. There was a lot of almosts.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of hurt mentally. But like what hurt me the most was like having, like I said earlier, is like I had all these files in my head, almost like a computer. And after I got hit, when I got hit, that head trauma, like that, I mean, it knocked everything loose. So something in this file went to this file, and something in this file went to this file, and then so on and so forth. So problems with my memory, problems with focus, problems with like attentiveness, problems with sleeping, problems with like everything. And not to mention the career that I was in didn't assist me in any way, shape, or form. Without getting into any of those stories, I just know going over into counterstrain, it's going to reset me. It's going to help me. And there are some things that you just can't put into words. I mean, there are words for it, but I mean, how would you feel if you just got reset? If you just got to just do a hard reset on your brain and just you get a do-over, you know, it's like a do-over. It's like that easy button, you know. I'm trying to come up with different metaphors to I guess illustrate like how it makes me feel. I feel lighter when I leave there.
Mm-hmm.
Not like a massage, or like even yoga makes you feel like, it makes me feel lighter. It makes me feel better. Like instead of feeling compressed all the time, I feel like it's like less is on me. And it's not that my brain starts working like overtime again, because it does, but I know that I'm going to get sleep that night. That's what I know.
Yeah.
I know that I'm going to get at least 4 hours sleep, which is huge for me.
Yeah. I think sleep struggles and like a return to the ability to sleep is one of the things we hear the most from people that come through. Is like it's like the first time I like slept well in 20 years or something insane. Well, insane to those of us who are not in such high stress professions.
I'm not anymore. That's why I'm happy. I feel like a mix of, I feel like that held a huge part of my of me, you know, of being like hurt or whatever. Like I don't have to wear that belt anymore, which was killing me, you know. I would tell Willie, I would like take notes. I would tell him like everything. And he's like, oh, okay. All right, I got something for that. And he'd just like play in my head like it's an organ or something, you know, like a harp. I don't know. He's a warlock.
all of the skeptics listening to this are like, sounds even weirder than I thought it was.
It's supposed to sound weird. It totally is. It is supposed to sound weird. The way that I can explain it to sometimes to people for them to understand is because they have a concept of, or like an understanding of like what acupuncture is. You know, I go to this person and they put needles in my head and like all over my body, but those are just you know, in these pressure points and release points. But that's kind of like what I can equate to what counterstrain might be a little bit like, except for instead of needles, it's a gentle like hold position on something on your face, or something on the bottom of your foot, or something like on your neck, or whatever. And that is releasing, that glide is releasing like whatever energy, that bad toxin, that bad negative stuff, you know, through your body. It's an entrance and an exit wound. It's whatever. It might sound weird, but it's not. It's one of the coolest things, and it's just something I don't miss. I don't miss that. If I know I have an appointment coming up, I might be a little late because I'm trying to be better at that. I know it's a problem that I deal with. I self-sabotage myself, but like, it's definitely, I feel like you saved my life. I really do. It's like it's like I was drowning and my hand was up and Willie
somebody grabbed it. What did you have any reservations going into treatment? Any doubts?
No. I because I've been through so much already, so far. In my life, going even further back, my parents were drug addicts. My mom overdosed on cocaine when I was 8 years old. My dad also was a drug addict. They cleaned themselves up, but you know, seeing my mother on her worst day, and then before she passed away, I was able to tell her that I got to see her on her best day. So I think that was pretty rad to be able to tell my mom that. And anyways, you know, just going through those things as a child wasn't necessarily easy, but I kind of was already like building myself up for like, I think whatever was about to happen. And then the military, and then after the military was Madera County Jail for 6 years. and multiple critical incidents there. And then after that was, the California Highway Patrol, which I loved all my jobs. I absolutely adored all my jobs. If there's anybody in this world that is born to serve other people, it's me. And it came with a cost, it came with a price. And that cost was, a lot of pain and a lot of mental anguish that I had to, I don't want to say get over, but I had to deal with at some point. And not just talking about things, because I don't feel like talking about things like always like helps. It helps for the immediate. It helps our ego a little bit, but then ultimately like what our body is doing is going to dictate like what our brain, what's happening inside of us. And so I just know that like Willie was able to shut off things on the inside of me from the outside. And I mean, I practiced, I would go there, Theora. I've had 5 surgeries on my face. And after the second one, so the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I was going to Willie. He was scheduling me a week post-op. And he was able to, like, I mean, they had me on. I was on fentanyl at one point, Oxy, Percocet, and they just worked my way down all the way to Norco, to and gabapentin. And by the way, I teach drugs to the nation. Like I'll be going to New York next month to teach about drugs. I teach drugs at the college where I work at Fresno City College. I went to Montana. Like it's some cool stuff. Anyways, I know a lot about stupid drugs, and it's crazy how like we study like drugs, or we study like these outside things, but we don't really study like us. I think that if more people studied like us, then I don't know. That's what, and I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm not getting lost right now, but I just know that I was able to stop these horrible opioids in record time. Like the doctors couldn't believe it. They were like, my surgeon was just like, dude, are you serious? Like, you don't want anything? I'm like, nah, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. I would go to Willie, and he just shut it down. He shut down those pain receptors. But I'm not sure that I have too many of those left, but he shut them down in a way that I could go to sleep,
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I couldn't believe it. So I guess to answer your question the long way, no, I didn't have any reservations. I had been going to AA and NA and all these different A's and Al-Anons and Alateens and counseling. And I was even going to the employee assistance program starting in 2010. So I had already been like going to counseling for myself for help since 2010, but nothing has helped me the way that a mixture of counterstrain and yoga have assisted me. And I can't stress like having my wife like and her support enough I can't stress that. That's pivotal and wanting to be better, because you have to want.
Well, I think that there's such a gold nugget of wisdom in there, because and if the people who are watching this, they'll see like in our information is like, we really believe that it's complementary, right? And that every helping technique has limitations, right? Like talk therapy has limitations, and it also has so many benefits. Counterstrain has lots of benefits, and like anything, it has limitations. But I think it's really potent that you had it as part of like a patchwork of self-support strategies. And I also think that it's incredibly poignant to point out that like our nervous systems are designed to store information, whether it's from injury or, like you said, like witnessing critical incidents. And sometimes that information needs to be the volume needs to be turned down on it, because like you said, we're not in critical incidents all the time. And so we don't necessarily need to be in that heightened state, because it's not an emergency when you're at home cooking dinner. Yeah, and then it provides that relief. So I mean, I think you've alluded to this. I was going to ask, like, how has your life changed?
Everything that you just said, I think you said it a little more eloquently than what came out of my mouth, for sure. Yeah.
But like, I think your story is so relatable, because one of the things that we see is a lot of reliance on substances, because people are trying to manage in some form their quality of life, like their experience. They want to work. They want to be present in their relationships. They don't want, like you mentioned, like the mental anguish or the like acute chronic pain. And so they're seeking strategies and trying to find something that works. And it's really hard when those things aren't working.
Yeah. I mean, because they look for immediate things. And I know that because I was looking for immediate like gratification or an immediate like softening of everything that's going on. So like, yeah, I that's 100%. People just want, they've lost value. I felt like I lost so much value. Like I didn't have anything to give because I gave everything. And so like at this point in my life, I wasn't as strong as I used to be. My brain wasn't working and operating the way that it used to operate. As you can see, like I'll get like a good idea and then I'll start on it. And then the shiny object syndrome, as I call it, will kind of take me away from it. But, it looking for that value and feeling valued and it is, I mean, ultimately, I feel like it's what we all want, but it's, I don't know, when you've been valued for so long and now you don't feel like you have any value, that hurt. Counterstrain was able to do that. It was able to give me back that confidence again, or it allowed like some of the files to like trickle over to where they needed to go. Some of the, the documents to go to the proper files, and slowly but surely it was just all just kind of jiving together. And then drinking like at least a minimum of 8 ounces of water as soon as I'm done with it. As soon as I'm done with that helps. Going for a walk and just clearing my head, just staying in tune with like what was happening in my body, around my body, from my toes all the way to my hair. I don't want it to sound like witch doctor-y stuff, but I mean, it's all right to be in tune with your body. It's I don't need necessarily somebody to tell me what's going on with me, that they don't know what's going on with me. Willie can touch like certain things on my head or on my face, and he's like, "Oh, there it is, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And it's like he already knows. He already knows. It's freaking awesome. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, I relate in that, like, it's hard to put it to words because the impact is like when you're inside of it, it feels kind of miraculous, right? And so that's what kind of, I think, gives it that sort of almost like it can be like a mystical quality. I'd love to hear, like, you talked about a lot of these physical injuries you'd experienced and how much the pain was, it was pervasive, right? It was like, it was something that you were managing and sometimes being stopped in your tracks by every day. What is that like now? How would you say, like, how has that shifted?
I'm still in a lot of pain, and I know that. But I just stopped caring about it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like I kind of breathe through it. So when these moments happen where my back locks up or my neck, my fingers are always like kind of numb. My front of my legs are always numb and whatever. But, instead of dwelling on those things, I kind of, I don't know, my whole aspect, my whole life, like my outlook has changed on so much. I'm allowed to do this. Instead of like suffering with X, Y, and Z, I live with X, Y, and Z. And as soon as you cross that bridge, shameless plug, as soon as you cross that bridge, it changes your life. It will. It will. I only go to Willie maybe every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks is when I go to see him, but my body knows it. My body like literally knows when I'm going to go see Willie. Like I know that, okay, it's getting to that point because my sleep is trash. My pain, especially like in my back and my neck is really, really bad. But, you know, instead of like feeling sorry for myself, instead of dealing with things in a negative way, I don't know why.
Oh, shoot. I lost you there for a second. You were saying that your body knows when, your body knows when you're going to be going, you know, when you're going to be going.
Yeah.
You'll have these flare-ups in pain.
I'll literally check my phone. I'll check my phone and I'm like, yep, okay, I have Willie tomorrow. Because I have to put everything in my phone as constant reminders.
Yeah, me too.
Know, yeah, okay.
Have you seen an evolution in your mental sharpness?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that like after your brain injury, it was like kind of scrambled.
Yeah.
What's improved? What stayed the same?
Cognitively, I feel like I'm able to retain things a lot better. My speech has gotten a lot better. My like being able to stay on task, walking into a room and remembering why I'm in there. I'm there. I still have bad days where I walk into a room and I'm like, dude, why am I in here right now? Like, I don't know why, like, what am I here for? Like, what am I need? And then instead of getting frustrated or angry with myself, I'll go through the progression and I'll slow myself down. And that's helped. Memory. My memory is so much better. And I think that comes a lot with reading as well. And writing. I write constantly. I read. I always have like something that I'm reading. And you know, it all goes back to, you have to want it. You know, if you want something, you have to do that thing that's going to suck. You have to do that thing that's not going to be fun, to get better. But I feel like now I'm like, I can see the light. You know, I can see that like there's an exit like through the forest. I was like lost for so long, and I would push myself in pain into more pain just so I wouldn't feel the last pain, if that makes any sense at all. I know that
sure
will understand that. Like I don't care about pain anymore. I mean, I do, but I don't. I know that there's ways that I can help myself. But going to counterstrain is definitely going to, it's gonna like relieve a lot of stuff that I don't have to deal with, all within like 30 to 40 minutes.
Was the treatment painful at all?
No, not even a little bit. No, like anything that I felt like it took me a lot to allow Willie to even touch like my nose, like in this area.
Yeah.
And like I catch a lot of pain, like a lot of pressure, and then behind the pressure is like ice picks. Yeah, it's weird, and that's just in my face. But like if I'm having a bad week there, you know, or okay, so check this out. This is funny. This just happened the other day. So I told Willie, so my daughter just got married. She's getting ready to move to England. And everybody's like really sensitive right now, right? Because there was a lot happening. She just got married. My son just graduated the police academy. I just retired. And like, those are like big time life, like things that are happening. And
Yeah.
With my daughter moving across the pond, like across like the country and then across the Atlantic Ocean, like there's a lot of emotion happening in my house right now. And she and I had gotten into an argument. And I realized in that moment that I will hold, like if I'm anxious or if I'm antagonized in any way, I'll hold all of it right here in my face. And so I called Willie immediately. I'm like, bro, I just figured something out. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm with a patient right now. So, so I was like, he called me back and I was just like, I can't believe that, like, I recognized this. And I was elated that I was able to recognize that over being upset with my daughter for whatever, or just our argument. And I don't know, that was kind of a really cool thing that I wouldn't have ever experienced that had I not started going to counterstrain.
Yeah.
It's not evasive. It's gentle. It's life altering, and it's just about making the time to make that change, to make yourself better. And there's just no other way to put that. Like, unless you just want to live in misery, unless you just want to live like in pain, you want to live not getting better and just complaining about the same thing over and over again, like, until I'm not, I guess, I don't know, until like something comes up. But I don't see anything. I don't see any negative effects of this. Like I haven't experienced anything negative. The only, I mean, it even relaxes my dreams,
Yeah.
I'm trying to go through the progression of like the things that the people that go, that what people go through that have had head trauma, that have had that live with or suffer from PTSD or any sort of traumatic brain injury. I wish that there were like a million Willies out there to help these folks, or just, I don't know.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
I know.
I was going to ask one more question, because one of the things that we've noticed, because we have like certain things that are sort of the primary complaints, if you will, or like symptoms that people are looking for support with. And one of them is irritability or like reactivity in their personal lives, because they're hypervigilant, they're on edge, they're always like going 100 miles an hour in case there's danger. And it can take a toll on the like intimacy and the connection and personal relationships. Did you experience any of that?
Yeah.
Has that changed at all for you?
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah. I feel
Tell me about it.
I feel like you guys need to interview my wife about this, but yeah, I used to like have such a short fuse that, well, actually, I take that back. I used to be so slow to anger. I used to be so like calm in the face of anything. I would just be steady and calm. Kind of after my head injury, it knocked something like ajar, and I had to get better at that. And if going through psychotherapy, like learning like what was actually wrong with me, was probably the most difficult and the most beneficial thing that I could have done for myself. I would literally cry before I went in. I would do their tests. I would cry after in my car, and I felt completely alone. But I knew like something inside me was telling me like, dude, this is going to better you. At least you'll know. And then we can start combating and planning, and we can get through this. And so it was like I would have these arguments with myself with when I asked for help and the doctor sent me over to Willie, I was still like dealing with a lot of stuff. I was still dealing with a lot of anger. I was still feeling like unsupported at work. I was dealing with just so many different things that I felt, like I said, like undervalued, but it was my own trash that I was projecting on other people, you know? And or my own insecurities. I don't want to call it trash because it's something, right? But even though it had to be taken out, I call it trash because I had to take out the stuff that wasn't any good anymore. And not just that, but like I didn't know who I was looking at. I didn't know when I looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't know who I was looking at. I didn't know who that person is. I was a totally different person, and I looked different, and you know, and I acted different. My brain was like didn't function the same. And I don't know, I just had like a lot of stuff like pent up, and then feeling like undervalued, or feeling like whatever feelings, feeling gaslighted or whatever that I was feeling, like very selfish, and being selfish even at home at certain, you know, times, and not wanting to have to flip the switch and turn into Officer Johnny. You know, I didn't want to go there because I know that it hurts. It was hurting me. It was not that I'm a different person, but like I know that I'm gonna have to deal with stuff that is gonna hurt. And I don't like, and I mean, I would cry on my floor before I would go to work because I didn't want to have to be that person. And it's almost like my back and neck injuries like saved me a little bit, you know. But I went from like being very volatile, like now I can be in a loud area. I still have problems with like lights. But if I'm having a good day, I can be in a loud area, like a restaurant. I used counterstrain, having her come to counseling with me so that doctors could kind of like explain things to her like that I was going through, and then maybe some of the things that she was going through that I would cause, like just inadvertently, not even understanding like what was happening with me, but I'm causing other things with her, and like it was one of the most helpful things, also, but you know, it was just volatile. It wouldn't take very much for me to lose it at home. At work, I was still the same person. Like I was just steady. I would sit in the back of briefing, knowing like what's about to happen, kind of like for my shift, and my heart rate would be like 180, 190. I'd get into a pursuit with gang members, like literally shooting at each other, shooting like automatic weapons at each other on the freeway. I'm witnessing this, and my heart rate would be 58. Just steady, just easy, just no worries. I could go to a fatal crash and work CPR on somebody that's even already like passed away, and my heart rate would be 58, 60. But I come home, I go to bed, and I would still wear like my watch, and I would look at like where my heart rate would spike the most, and it was like when I was sleeping. It'd be like 208, 210, like sleeping. And I'm like, this isn't good, man. This isn't right. So, but going and seeing Willie, like after, it was right after that. And also like taking like extreme, like over the top ownership for things, like over investing in my job, over investing with anything I did. Like it was just like, it was unhealthy is what it was. It was just completely unhealthy. And then having to deal with all the repercussions that came from doing those things, from that negative behavior. But still just trying to figure it out and trying to play through the pain, because that's how I was raised. You know, you play through the pain. Are you injured or you hurt, right? If you're hurt, you can keep playing. Like just keep playing, like play through it. Go hurt somebody else, you know, or just run through it. Even like, so now I can go on runs. I can go for skateboard ride. I can't do it every day, but you know, I've built up my strength. I've built up like resiliency. I've built up just even with counterstrain, I've been able to like alleviate like a lot of pain in my life, so that I can do the things that I love to do, you know. And getting back to your question is, you know, I'm not angry anymore. I don't want to be angry. I've never been an angry person. I don't like being angry. I don't like being that person. But you know, I was. Counterstrain helped me with that. I know it really helped me with that, because he's able to shut off things. He'll you know, just a simple question. Hey buddy, what's going on? I'm not doing good, Will. I need you to shut me down. Or sometimes it's like, dude, I'm doing great, you know. I'm still experiencing some back stuff. All right, well, let's check it out. How's your face? Willie, and plus he has pretty good like humor, you know, for he and I. So telling me that my face is killing him or something like that, you know, get a little bit back and forth.
That's funny. I have one more question, which is, what would you say to somebody who's watching this, who is considering applying for the three treatments from Bridgeback, but they're maybe on the fence. They're trying to make the decision to decide whether or not this is like a right addition to sort of their care plan?
I think I would ask them, like, okay, well, what are you doing right now for yourself? And after like learning about like what they're doing for themselves, I would ask, okay, well, why are you considering this? Like, there has to be something going on where you feel like you need more of something. So why are you considering this? And you know, what are you taking anything? Are you taking any medication? Are you going, you know, I guess going back to the first question, are you going to counseling or anything? But and also like what's happening in your life right now that you feel like this would be beneficial. Like you're on the fence about it, so you're questioning this program, but like, why not? Like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose besides like a little bit of time? You know, I know that not everything is for everybody, right? Everybody has something. Where you hit the nail on the head earlier, where you talked about, you know, there is value in like any sort of like with counseling or with reading. Not everybody likes to read. Not everybody likes to go to counseling and talk about their feelings. Not everybody likes to do whatever, but there is still value in those things. There are still value. There is more value in this, I feel like, than anything, any other thing that I've done. I think mixing it with yoga, not doing and doing something that you're not used to doing. So you're paying attention to your body, and your diet, Like, what are you putting into your body? I would like to know, and these are the things that I do ask people these things because it's important, man. It's garbage in, garbage out. And if you have enough trash already that you're dealing with, that you're not helping things by drinking a bottle of whiskey. You're not helping things by overeating. You're not helping things by anything like just staring at your phone all the time. You're not helping things. You need to just start living. Like, do you want to start living? And because they would be asking me for a reason, because they want to be better. And I can only assume, like, I'm just going off the question that you asked. So if they're on the fence about something, then that tells me that you are looking for something because you're not done living. Give it a shot. You won't regret it. But you have to keep an open mind and just pay attention to your body. It's almost like one of those things where, so when Willie like can hit a spot and he's like, right here, right? And I'm like, yeah. And then he'll just do whatever he does, and then it goes away. And he goes, better? And I'm like, yeah. What are you doing? And then he'll just go, like, he'll just laugh, and it's not, he knows what he's doing. I've never walked out of there feeling worse than when I walked in. How about that?
Yeah.
But if you're on the fence about something, then you're leaning towards it anyways. You're already contemplating it. So
I'll close with, like, is there anything else that you want to share with folks watching before we end the recording?
I remember this one time I felt like so like overly emotional when I went in. I was dealing with a lot of things with my work, with not being ready to retire, with my just with my back or whatever. It's a lot to deal with emotionally and mentally, and especially when you've been doing something for over 20 years, and then a doctor's like, dude, you can't do this anymore. And you're like, I'm not done doing this, but am I done doing it anyways? So I was dealing with a lot. I don't know what Willie did, but it's like he made me cry, is what he did. He did some secret maneuver where he just made me start bawling right there on the table. And it wasn't like I was uncontrollable. It's just just tears were just coming down my face. He was just like relieving me of like whatever negative thing that I was dealing with at the time. I think the only other time is like that's come in prayer where that's happened for me. I'm a spiritual guy, and I like praying to the big guy because I feel like he knows a lot more than I do. And there aren't too many times where like that waterworks get turned on like that for me in my life. And he was able to do that. I remember leaving that day, just like, that was my like kind of awakening moment of like, do you want to start living your life, or do you want to just like stay in this rut, or do you want to stay in this negativity? Do you want to stay like just trying to fix things that you can fix? I've asked Willie multiple times. I'm like, dude, like when does this end? He just starts laughing at me again. Like, he never answers a question. He just like laughs at me. But he's like, until you're fixed, man. And he goes, this is gonna last for a long time for you. And I'm like, I'm good with that. I just feel like I'm taking up like the space for other people, and Like, I want people to feel that release the same way that I did. I want people to experience the same, like, just letting go of like things that like you don't have to hold on to anymore, the same way I did. I want people if you're on the fence about doing something, just do it. Just go to this thing, because it's going to, if you go in there with the right attitude, it's going to help you, and it's not going to hurt. I'll tell you that. If you can do something that's going to put a smile on your face all the time, like, aren't you going to do that? Like, millions of people go to comedians to make them laugh. You know, millions of people like go to rock shows and concerts and stuff to make them feel good inside. Like, this is that. It's like a personal like experience that you get to have, like letting go of things. You know, the ocean's a natural healer. That's my safe place. And it's like just being at the ocean for me. I can just go there mentally and just disappear.
Yeah. Sounds great. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story, and yeah, and all the different facets and chapters. And I just hope that this helps somebody gain clarity around whether they want to try it or not.
Yeah, me too. I really do. It always makes me happy to know that, like, how busy Willie is, because that's telling me that he's helping people. It's not fake. It's not anything. I don't need to sell anybody on this. As soon as you go, you're gonna already buy. You're like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
You're investing in yourself.
We do have other practitioners. It's just that they're in different states. So we gotta build out our teams. But yeah, we're working on it. It'll happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's nice meeting you, Theora. Thank you for everything, and I'll talk to you guys soon, I'm sure.